This week's case study presentation is going to be Hill versus the National Collegiate Athletic Association. And this happened in 1986 when the NCAA established a drug testing program. The National Collegiate Athletic Association rules required that every student athlete had to agree to drug testing if they wanted to participate in athletics. And a young lady named Jennifer Hill and a few other Stanford University student athletes sued the NCAA, saying that the procedures that they used for drug testing violated their privacy rights under the California Constitution. The process used for drug testing included they had to give a monitored urine sample and information about the medical and physical condition of the athlete. The NCAA wanted a review of the judgment from the California Court of Appeals, which affirmed the Superior Court's decision to grant a permanent injunction precluding the NCAA from enforcing its drug testing program against Jennifer Hill and other Stanford student athletes on the grounds that the NCAA failed to establish a compelling state interest in support of its program. The California Supreme Court then used a three-part test to help determine whether Hill's allegations of privacy invasion had any validity to them at all. And at first, the court explained that questioning a student athlete's medical and physical condition and monitoring urination qualified as legally protected privacy interests. Secondly, the court stated that student athletes were naturally required to undergo close scrutiny of bodily conditions under a reasonable expectation of privacy. It states the student athlete always has the choice to withdraw from athletic participation so they do not have to undergo drug testing. When this happens, the student athlete's reasonable expectation of privacy is absolutely diminished. Thirdly, then, the court determined that the NCAA's conduct of monitored urination and gathering the physical and medical information did not constitute a serious invasion of privacy. The court stated that the NCAA's drug testing program was reasonably calculated to prolong the NCAA's legitimate interest in maintaining the integrity of the intercollegiate athletic program. The court ruled that even though the student athletes did have legally protected privacy interests in gathering private information and monitoring urination, it diminished their privacy expectations, and the NCAA's drug testing program did not violate any of the student athletes' rights to privacy. Since the NCAA has a legitimate interest in safeguarding intercollegiate athletic competition, the court allowed the drug testing as a sound public policy. The court reversed the trial court's permanent injunction against the NCAA, which allows the NCAA to conduct drug testing on student athletes, which in fact remains in effect today. I think it's important, if we look a little deeper, into this case and find out why the NCAA chose to implement a drug testing program. And in 1983, at the Pan American Games, several college athletes had tested positive for drugs. So I'm sure at that point in time, the NCAA wanted to become proactive, so they put into motion a drug testing program before things really got out of control. I'm sure a lot of athletes, especially, for that time in history, found it very invasive and an invasion of their privacy. I can see their point as well as their side of the argument. I don't think anyone would have any idea, about all the performance-enhancing drugs, that were quickly coming onto the scene. I definitely see, as well, as take the side of the NCAA. You know, it was just going to be a matter of time before these athletes would be exposed or have access to all kinds of PEDs or even, you know, recreational drugs. I mean, it's not just testing positive for, you know, human growth hormones, PEDs, steroids, all those things, which, you know, kind of fall under the same umbrella, but also, you know, recreational drugs as well. So, you know, something had to be put into place to hold everyone accountable. As far as, you know, having implications for the athletic director, that should be pretty cut and dried, especially, you know, when you're talking at the high school level with drug testing in place. And there are a lot of high schools, especially down here in southwest Missouri, that have a drug testing policy in place. The thing I think people should be careful with is to not throw, you know, anyone away. I think every high school student deserves a second chance, and, you know, that's really why we're in the coaching business. You know, we're really there to help the kids, and you know, I think drug testing maybe should help expose any issues that you might have at your high school or might have in your community. You know, maybe you have a bigger drug problem than what you originally expected. Maybe you don't have much of a drug problem at all, but that's the thing that I like, especially in a high school, is, you know, you truly give a kid a reason to say no. You know, maybe he or she goes to a party and peer pressure, drugs and alcohol are there. You know, it gives a kid a way out to say, you know, no, I'm not going to do that because I might get drug tested. So that's one thing that I do like about the drug testing policy in high school, is it does give a kid a way to say no. So, you know, from an athletic director standpoint, I think it's a very good thing, and it gives kids a good reason to say no.